Hi, welcome to the Greatest Pod Classic, where you are going to get to hear people's nerd greatest of all time from the classic pod. If you like what we're doing, mash that subscribe button and click like too. Hey, leave a comment too. Tell us your opinion about this idea. You can also join our Patreon, patreon.com/thegreatestpod, to get extra podcasts that are more personal and get art sent directly to your house. Again, that's patreon.com/thegreatestpod.
Nerd Goat.
The podcast that asks interesting people, out of all the characters in all of fiction, who is the nerd goat?
I'm Ed Greer.
I'm Ron Swallow. Today's guest is Jess Del Pino. She is half of the Hentai HQ, a cool show about, hentai. Graphic designer, site contact for that specific site, plus freelance writer, and she also does toy reviews for Entertainment Earth, which is super dope.
Thank you.
So Del Pino up in this bitch.
That's hilarious.
You've done tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the stuff you do on those shows.
So I do run half of the Hentai HQ, which is a hentai news blog sort of site that my best friend and I started.
Now, okay,
Yes.
I'm not, dude. I'm not trying to be weird, but what
you are.
What is news in the hentai community? That's literally what I want to know.
Which is the next tentacle that's gonna fuck somebody?
That's funny to me. It's like,
Actually, I didn't think it was going to be as much content as it is.
Oh, it's
And we put out a new article every day of the week, except for on the weekends, which we're hoping to expand out. But, we only have so many hours in a day.
yeah.
But as we've been doing it, it's a lot of just fan sort of stuff and us kind of educating people. But in the last couple of weeks, hentai has actually been in the news a lot more than you would think. There was this white supremacist writer who freelances for Vanity Fair, MSNBC, like all these places, that posted a picture on his Twitter, and it blew up because in the background on his web browser
That's right.
was a tab open for a very extreme hentai named Bichiku. And his response back to the Twitter community was, "Oh, my wife didn't believe that tentacle porn was a thing, so we were searching for it." And everybody went crazy because they're like, that one doesn't even have tentacles in it.
Yeah.
whoa.
So we ran a story that was like, we found some logic that didn't really match up, and posted all of his stuff on our site.
To me, I bet the Venn diagram between like people in politics and people in media and hentai, they kind of overlap a bit. Probably.
Well, it's funny because we actually posted another thing on our Twitter the other day that shows that hentai is one of the top search terms in the U.S.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's beat out in almost half of the states NFL football.
Yeah. For those for people who are listening and don't know what hentai is.
It's animated Japanese porn.
Yeah.
But it does span out a little bit more than that because there become subgenres where it's not necessarily you seeing penetration or anything like
Sometimes
that.
it's romantic,
becomes
too.
Yeah. A lot of them, the storylines are even more intriguing and thought out than animes.
Yeah.
It's just they're naked or they're showing boobs or there's
Right.
tentacles instead of penises.
Right. Well, I mean, we all deal with our sexual hang-ups differently.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The
At least these aren't
deal with
real.
theirs. Yeah. The Japanese deal with theirs in an artificial drawn environment.
Which
whereas
seems more
we-
healthy, if you ask me. Like, at least you
Just
know that's
imagination.
fake. Yeah.
Yeah. Let it go.
the power of imagination. Well, I imagine that you have some pretty cool thoughts about Batman.
Yes.
And that's what we came here to talk about. One thing we always ask people is why? Honestly, like why does this character resonate for you in this particular way? And I was telling Ron before we started to get on air. It's interesting that we have you talking about Batman instead of just another neckbeard like us, you know. So,
Yeah.
how did you connect with Batman?
I do not have a neck beard.
Oh, neckbeard like me. and a regular scruffy white trash beard like Ron.
That's much better and more accurate.
Well, I remember as a kid being introduced to Batman through Adam West.
Oh.
My grandfather was a huge
R.I.P.
fan of the show, and he used to watch it with me, and I would get really caught up in the next week, and all the cheesiness of it. And very soon after going through and watching the Tim Burton Batmans and seeing a darker, now cheesier version, but it always kind of sat with me. My grandfather was the first one to buy me my first Batman comic. And I read a little bit when I was a kid, and I kind of put it down. I started going after other nerd shit. Like, I was really into Lord of the Rings for a long time.
Nice.
Well,
I've
yeah,
read all of those books repeatedly.
Yeah, that's to me. I don't want to be reductive or stereotypical, but if I'm a young woman, I think the giant worlds of Tolkien are more for me than for a lot of my youth than like gritty Gotham or punching in the face and all that stuff.
Well, I think what I really liked about it was the story, like the tragicness of this dude who's lost his parents and he's decided to take that and actually do something with it as opposed to spiraling into a depression and becoming a vagrant. Yeah. I just really liked that story. And I've seen it kind of change over the years, as we all have. And I think that there's just a lot to that character.
I think there's a lot to the character of Batman as a vagrant.
That'd be interesting.
You got some change.
That's a weird what if. Batman's just like he's just like sold his fortune for crack, and now he just lives on the street. That's a lot of crack. And $1 billion bought. How did he not die from doing all that crack?
Yeah, well, that's his physical constitution. It's a big part of Batman's appeal.
Well, there actually was a character in I forget which comic book it is, that is basically the complete opposite of Batman. That he grew up, just fine. His wife dies, and then he becomes a vigilante. But instead of capturing them, he kills his people. Like he finds a dude. His name's the Reaper.
Yeah, the Reaper. Yeah. That was also in the first animated movie feature.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was only a stint of like 4 issues.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that Batman picked up a gun.
Yep. And it's acknowledging the earlier times in the 30s and 40s where Batman used weapons.
And he actually works with Joe Chill.
That's right.
Yeah. And spoiler, but the twist is that the Reaper shows up and actually kills Joe Chill in front of Batman so he can't get his revenge.
Yeah.
And that's just... You read that and you're just like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. I think Joe Chill is an important part of the mythos that got messed up for a whole generation because they made it in the movie that the Joker did it.
Yeah, for those people that don't know, Joe Chill is...
The guy.
Yeah, he's the guy that robbed Martha and Bruce's father and it kills them both in the alley, in Crime Alley. And that's the guy that basically pushes him to become Batman.
And Batman knows this, right? In the comic, he knows it. Mm-hmm. And doesn't take him out.
Well, he has to use him. That's the thing, because he's working with the underground in that story.
Yeah.
And it's the only way that he can find the Reaper.
In disguise, if I remember correctly, right?
No.
Oh, that's right, because he's just trying to get them, because they're worried about being killed by the Reaper. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's a beautiful Alan Davis drawn cover where Batman's like got a holster on, and he's got like a gun, and he's like, yeah, what's up? Like, dirty Batman. Do you feel lucky?
Yeah, it's like Dirty Harry Batman.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so basically, so you connected with kind of the tragedy of it, or it's a really goth way to go into it. Yeah. I mean, I think I connected with that a little bit too, though. I mean, I felt like Batman was like, I honestly always connect with the street level characters.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how you are?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Batman's one of the only characters, at least from when I was growing up, that becomes a superhero out of his own choice.
And determination.
Yeah. Too. I mean, he's got millions of dollars that at his disposal, but...
Yeah, Trump's not Batman, though.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, Bill Gates, maybe. He's like just given whole countries water before, which I'm sure Bruce Wayne has done in some of the comic books as well. I think, for me, I remember when I was a kid, I got jumped by 4 dudes. who were in a gang, and they broke my nose. It was a good time. A lot of bleeding and crying and running across the street to a Mexican restaurant. A lady who dropped a phone like it was a movie. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like it was real bad. And that was right when I started to get into Batman. And it was like, yeah, Batman had been there, and he just beat those dudes up. Or if I was Batman, obviously. You know?
Well, do you find it to be like a qualitative difference between like Batman and like the Punisher, or you know, a lot of these guys who are like kind of his same power level but don't choose to like, you know?
Yeah, I think that Batman, just because of his stature, how he grew up, his family, there's a sense of responsibility there that I've seen. You know, he understands the importance of Bruce Wayne as a symbol for the city.
Right.
Whereas you have these other vigilantes that may not necessarily have superpowers, but they don't have that same sort of responsibility that they grew up with. Like his name, the Wayne name holds a lot of weight.
Yeah, I do like the stories where they explore like that his family is instrumental in the construction of Gotham, like down to the brick and mortar. You know, his family was like the Rothschilds.
Yeah.
or like, you know,
for Gotham, except for less. I don't know.
Skeezy.
Yeah. Less ruling over you with an iron fist so that no one can get anything.
But that is one thing that I find dubious about Batman's whole lineage, though. They really go hard on Batman's family was always cool. Like, what's the Batcave? It's a bunch of underground railroad tunnels. Like, okay, these dudes were superheroes even in the 1800s or 1700s. Okay, whatever, bro.
Where's that story?
Yeah,
Where's like the seedy skeletons in the closet of the Wayne
Ooh, that's
family?
a great. You should write that.
I should.
Yeah.
I said it first.
He can draw. He can draw really well.
Yeah,
Ed can draw really well, by the way.
No,
you couldn't tell the difference between our voices.
Well, no, it's definitely, look at my stuff on Ed Greer Destroys. Ed Greer Destroys on Instagram. Look at my stuff.
DeviantArt as well.
Yeah, and DeviantArt. Yeah. It's not a bunch of hentai pictures. Not that hentai is deviant. No, but yeah. So basically, so you like like me, you like the street level stuff, and like Ron, you like the justice stuff. What about the gadgets and all that? Is that something that interests you about Batman, or is it just part of his justice platform?
No, I think that's super awesome. It kind of goes back to the. I was a huge Get Smart fan when I was a kid too.
Oh yeah!
Like I used to watch. Well, I'm kind of young, but so I used to watch
I was going to say, you do not look young enough to have watched any of those.
Yeah, when TV Land came out, they used to run these reruns, and I would spend my summers with my grandparents, and so there wasn't really much to do but just sit around and watch TV. And these were the shows that I could sit and watch with my grandparents because they watched them. So Get Smart was a huge one for me because you've got this, you know, kind of bumbly sort of dude who's got a shoe phone.
Yeah, the shoe phone is excellent.
And he just always has something up his sleeve.
Well, you know what's funny about the shoe phone? Wasn't the shoe phone still rotary? Like, I don't even know if it had buttons. I think he had to actually...
Probably.
Nobody remembered. No one ever thought that they could just do something else.
Yeah.
That's why Star Trek was so interesting. They were just like, oh, we can do something else besides a rotary phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's one thing, though.
Can you imagine if that Star Trek had a rotary...
Oh, my God. Excuse me, let me get my communicator.
Man, calling Psylocke 4 is like, you gotta dial 47 numbers. It's gonna take forever. There's just one episode of him just dialing. That'd be awesome.
As far as gadgets, I really the thing I like the 66 show, and we do have to properly acknowledge this is being taped very just a matter of days after Adam West died.
Yes.
R.I.P. as Ron said earlier. I think we do need to talk a tiny bit about that conception of the character, because I do believe right now it's two things, right? There's people who like make it to be kind of bigger than it was, like oh, this is God. You don't say that this is goofy, blah blah. They really revere it, and then there's people who bash it way too much. So I think what I liked about the actual that I was going to say animated series about it was very animated.
Yeah,
I like that it made. Even this concept of like dark justice and me and my buddy fighting crime. To me, when I was a kid, the overlap in the reruns was I watched Dukes of Hazzard and I watched Batman and Robin, and I didn't think of them as any different.
Yeah,
they both were just two.
I also watched
dudes
the A-Team,
crime.
which was ridiculous. But
But it's that nice sort of fantasy that they create.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I feel like now media sometimes it's a little overloading with how real it is.
Yeah.
That there's no escape. You
Right.
know, the whole point of media is for you to be able to escape. Watching those shows when I was a kid was larger than life to me.
Yeah.
Right.
On top of that, I think this is my personal favorite thing about the old Batmans, and I think a mistake that they're sort of making with some of the new Batman stuff. The old Batman was about saving people.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and helping people out, I always felt like. And I feel like a lot of these new Batmans, it's about him completing some quest for his family. It's not about him saving people and being a hero as much as it used to be, I think.
Yeah.
In the comics, it still is. But I mean, like, in a lot of the movies, and especially the last Batman, where he's an idiot with Superman and doesn't figure out the Lex Luthor thing, even though he's the greatest detective in the world.
Well, to be fair, in the movies, they literally have. I don't want to get off on a rant here, but they don't ever let him be a detective in the movies. Is that something that you find as well?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about Batman is that not only is he a detective, but he's constantly prepared for every situation that he's going to get in ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like, he's almost always ahead of the bad guys, except for a few of the crazies.
Well, this is what I was kind of interested in, how you've seen Justice League start to form, is that you have Batman who's the one who's going to find them, who knows who they are. It's like the old idea of Justice League. The point of Batman being within that was that he had dirt on everybody because he doesn't trust anyone. So it's like, keep your enemies closer.
Yeah.
Right there. And he understands the value of all these people, but he's still got, kryptonite in his back pocket just in case.
Right, just in case.
And so that I'm interested to see how they're going to roll this out. Although I don't really know because the track record from the DC movies hasn't been the best.
Yeah.
Well, they
did
try to do way too much.
Did you see the new Wonder Woman movie?
I haven't yet.
Oh, you'll want to see it.
I've heard amazing things about it, and I've also heard some meh things, but no bad, no one person has said, this is terrible.
Well, I can tell you just without giving anything away, the best thing that they did was make her a hero for the people.
Yeah.
Like, her goal is to save mankind and womankind and everybody alike. And that is what I like most about what they did with the movie. And I think if they did that with Batman and Superman and all those big characters, because Wonder Woman's super powerful, and she's super powerful in this, and that's fine, especially if her whole goal is, despite being this super powerful character, that she goes and saves people. That's one of my favorite things about Batman. He could do anything he wants. He's a billionaire, decides to save people's lives.
Yeah.
Right. And I think people get off on the vengeance aspect of Batman a little bit too much because, he could just be the Punisher. He could be a vagrant. He could be so many things, and he chooses to be this. It's kind of like Ron has a big point about. Tell him about why you like Superman.
Yeah, because that guy could do anything he wants at any moment, and instead he wakes up every day and decides to be good. Because my point is, what would you do if you had Superman's powers? The joke I do is, I don't know about you, but I'd own a lot more shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
I'd pretty much own everything I want to own.
This is eminent domain. What kind of eminent domain? Superman eminent domain.
Yeah. Domain where I own shit because I'm Superman.
Right.
But see, I understand what you're saying, that people do tend to kind of get fixated on the vengeance sort of aspect of it, because you're talking about Superman, and immediately I think of Dr. Manhattan. Because that's like the, troubled version of what Superman is. To me, Superman, there's no, it's just so one-sided.
Right.
And I'm not saying that there's not more to it. I just haven't found it.
I get that. I understand why a lot of people don't like Superman.
Well, and also, but that's what you just said. The fact of the Superman as something to distrust is one thing that the DC universe is really slamming and hammering home in this. And I really feel like, hopefully, they're building up towards when Superman comes back, everybody's like, well, he's Jesus. He rolled that big super rock away from his tomb, and now he's back, and we love him.
I'm sure Zack Snyder is going to do that for sure.
Well, Zack Snyder's not directing it anymore.
Oh, yeah, not the end. He's still...
Well, he's not doing Justice League movie
you're
because
right.
of the tragedy in his family.
Yes.
And Joss Whedon is I don't want to make hay in this horrible time for Zack Snyder, but supposedly Joss Whedon is filming a lot of new scenes.
Yeah.
Shooting a lot of new scenes.
So you mean it's going to be good now?
It'll be more
Look,
fun.
Zach, I know you're listening to this podcast, and I'm super sorry about everything that happened to you. However, I'm so glad you're not directing this anymore.
I feel like if they would just play on his strengths, which are great action sequences with fantastic music behind it.
That's true. You're 100%
He's really
right.
good at that. It's just the linking of story parts for him.
Well, and sticking to the character.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Well, but there's a GIF, whatever. I hate to be that guy, but like there's a
good GIF.
Yeah. There's a GIF going around. You can see it on Imager or whatever, where it's Zack Snyder showing Henry Cavill and the guy who played Zod. He's showing Superman and Zod how he wants Superman to break Zod's neck. And the glee on Zack Snyder's face as he positions his hand on the stunt performer's neck and just goes, Yarg! And he just looks insane. And it's not the feeling that I would think. When I was watching that movie, maybe I'm some weird Kevin Smith crier, but I welled up a little bit when Superman snapped Zod's neck, because I felt, even in that kind of garbage rendition of him, I felt the weight of what he had to do in that moment and how it would affect him and how he'd probably make him a better hero in the future. And then Batman Superman, he doesn't even take glee in helping people. Yeah, after that big neck snapping, I would feel like they would do a whole movie about how he was just, all right, bro, I'm not
going to hurt anybody
I'm
again.
never going to let anybody get hurt. Just whole sequences of him like the Flash flying through crumbling buildings, snatching up fools, being like, dropping them and their cat down on the street, like, cool. Whole sequences of him doing
Meanwhile,
that.
letting bad guys get away because he's saving people.
Or just, but him being more dedicated to saving people. Him being able to do something like that and then catch the bad guy on the fucking Nevada border and go, sorry, I was caught up there saving old ladies and pugs. You know what I mean? I feel like
Definitely
that would
pugs.
be...
I hope it's pugs.
Yeah, of course.
And then they show the pug go.
It's like, why did I even save you? You're genetically fucked.
Yeah.
Like, why did I even save you?
I don't know if you've seen a pug, man, but I dated a girl who had pugs, and they were...
Oh, they're interesting little
can't sleep.
creatures.
They're adorable, but
Yeah.
can't breathe right. Eyeballs popping out of their head. Hey, how about you stop interbreeding shit?
Well, we need to get Batman on that.
Yeah.
Just break up all the puppy mills.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, buddy.
This interbreeding has gone on too long.
Okay, so Batman, the vengeance thing is too much in people's minds. Also, I feel like the Bat God. There's a lot of people. I mean, can we talk about that? Like Batman's, because one of the things that we do here is have you later on. You'll right as we're wrapping it up, baby. We'll have you defend Batman as the nerd goat, which obviously any real Batman fan can do because there's so much canon of him just beating the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
I do believe there's a little bit of... I love Bat God, but I don't think anybody does it as good as Grant Morrison does Bat God.
No.
Like, he explains how Bat God has, I mean, Batman built a personality in his head, so if he went crazy, he would go super fucking crazy and have this personality that's downloaded in his system that would come online and go, you're crazy. Well, if you're going to be crazy, be this type of crazy and be effective and be Batman still. That's insane. That's an insane idea. And I don't think other people are able to pull that stuff off.
I didn't even know about that. I don't think I read that.
Yeah.
Well, you have to think about the writer. You were just saying, Grant Morrison.
Right.
If you know anything about Grant Morrison, I mean, this guy has gone through the depths of his own brain. And, gone to weird places. I've heard great interviews with him talking about, like, just being in some house where he was just... I just had to take all of these drugs to just figure out what was going on here. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
And then he just takes that and he's like, this would be a really cool concept.
Well, he took his money. He took his money from when he first started writing comics. He had his first big hit comic, and he took that money, the money he made off of Arkham Asylum. He took that money and just traveled the world like Batman.
Yeah.
Just doing whatever the hell he wanted to do, learning whatever he wanted to learn, experiencing whatever he wanted to experience. He just blew all that money on getting experiences.
Yes.
So I think there's a qualitative difference. Yeah.
As soon as this podcast starts making Nerdist money, then we're
Ballin'.
I'm going to go learn every martial arts.
You're going to do a bat trick.
Even though I'm 40.
Come on, man. Just start with Krav Maga.
Sounds good.
But one thing I wanted to say about Batman is, what's your take on the how do I state this? I hate how the Batman movies have distilled all of his skills into, he learned how to fight from some guy, and he gets all this tech from some dude. Mm-hmm. I hate that. It makes me sick. It really makes me sick. But what are your feelings on that? How would you kind of show him getting all those skills then? Because Batman really in the comic books has way too many skills. Nobody could gain that amount of skill unless they took 6 months to learn detective work all the way, 6 months to learn forensics all the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's just a little bit of I don't know. You have to walk into one of these movies and really just kind of. Well, I'm just going to go with it. These are the rules of this, and we're going to give you a little taste of how it could have happened, and you fill in the blank. And that's enough for me because I know the backstory. And
so would you,
know what I mean?
You like more the 1989 Batman in regards to just, he's a bat dude, fuck it.
Well, see, I don't really have a favorite because I feel... Having read the comics, you know that every time a new writer comes in, there's just a new version of Batman.
Yeah,
so every time there's a new director, it's a new version of what Batman could have been. Because the way that I think about it in my head, and I've always thought about it this way, is that he is the thing that was told around the campfire.
Right.
Of here's a story, guys, about some mythical character that's going to give you some sort of moral compass of thought that you grow up with.
Right.
And so there's going to be a million different versions of what that is. So I don't necessarily have a problem or like one version better than the other, because to me it's just showcasing different people giving their take on it. Because I ultimately just like the idea of storytelling.
Right.
That
is a way too mature opinion for this podcast. I think we're gonna cut this one short, Frank. We gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here.
There does not be any dick talk. I don't understand. Do you watch I assume you watched the animated series.
Yeah, I have.
Do you have any favorite episodes of that one?
Oh,
That just pop into your head.
I think it'd have to be when Harley Quinn was introduced.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because that's where she was first introduced. It was the first character that didn't come from the comic books, but then was put into the comic books. And now she's just as big a character as anybody.
Yeah. She probably might be the biggest female character from DC.
Yes.
If you're going to judge by cosplaying.
Yeah. I mean, it's her and Wonder Woman neck and neck, which is insane.
Yeah.
Well,
if you think about
I think it's because there was a point in time where the villains, like Catwoman, Talia, all of the female villains, they flipped them so that they weren't 100% evil.
Yeah.
And it was like this move on part within
the birds of prey situation.
Yeah, they were just like, because they didn't want to vilify women.
Right.
So you couldn't go like, she's just a hooker. Like it doesn't, like they couldn't do that. But Harley Quinn was she really is the only female character that hasn't flipped to be partially good. Because every time she helps out the good guys, it's always with the intention of helping the Joker.
Right. Well, but I do believe they've kind of done a couple things where they kind of have rejiggered her relationship with the Joker as an abusive one, where she was. Well,
it always has been.
Well, you know what I mean. Like her acknowledging it, because there's a difference between
that time she hooks up with Ivy for a while, right?
That's what's going on in the comic books right now.
Right. Well, the one thing I was hanging out with Jeff Johnson. That's a name drop if you like pencilers of '90s comics and cartoons and people who design stuff for the WB movie. He designed all the WB Batman stuff. He designs a lot of the characters. Blah blah blah. He's great. I love him. And I was hanging out with him and a couple of his friends, and there was this story that they were telling about how Paul Dini. Basically, he had done some work on like General Hospital or some weird shit like that, and there was a sequence where a lady came in a jester's costume to like somebody in General Hospital or something. Goes like, "Hey, Mister Whatever," and with that kind of Brooklyn accent or whatever accent that is. And he went and when he was designing villains to be hanging out with a Joker henchman, he was like, "Why can't one of the henchmen be a woman? I'll pick that chick." And
Yeah.
he thought of her, and he brought that actress in, and she just killed it. And now we
he
have
even brought in the actress.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
brought in that actress. From
Wow.
I
So
forget
she's the
her name.
voiceover.
Yeah,
But yeah, she
I
was
wish
the
I could
first
give her credit
voice.
too. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's interesting. But like Suicide Squad, honestly, if I was gonna give Harley Quinn a chance as a cool character
Yeah.
in film, they ruined it. I really I feel like she was good in
Yeah.
parts, but it was like she's I don't know how she's so
I
badass.
think that everybody did fine for what they could do. I think
Yeah.
it was so badly written that it was hard for anybody to be good in that. Will Smith barely was good in that, and Will Smith is great in everything.
Yeah.
Well, and you also had that really great chemistry between Will Smith and Margot Robbie because they'd been
Absolutely.
in movies before.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there was just this real natural sort of
They have chemistry.
thing going on. And I felt that movie had three things that were completely wrong with it. Wrong villain,
Yeah.
like did not introduce
Absolutely.
her
The
the
Enchantress
right way at all.
is not the villain for that.
No, and it the way that whole storyline led out was just really poorly executed.
Well, the one thing I hated about it was just not to cut you off, but the thing about Batman being part of that movie just weirded me out. Like,
see-
if Batman exists, why don't you give it Batman? You know
Yeah.
Batman. Maybe Batman's busy downloading shit, texting and chatting with Wonder Woman. Maybe he's too busy to stop this enchantress or whatever the fuck. But come on, man.
Well, and the other thing is, it's based on the animated feature Assault on Arkham, right?
I didn't know that.
Well, Assault on Arkham is dope because what it is the first part is Batman finding out about he catches the Riddler doing some sneaky shit. The Riddler has some secrets on what's her name? The lady who runs Suicide Squad. What's her name?
Viola
Waller.
Davis?
Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller. And so, but they put him in Arkham, where you always put the Riddler, right?
Yeah.
And then Amanda Waller wants him killed. So she puts together the Suicide Squad to have them go in there and take him out. Like some of them think they're rescuing him, but there's one of them who's going to kill him. And so Batman ends up stopping them, and that's the story. I mean, I'm shortening it, but it's awesome, and it's introduced a way better way, and it's in a way that makes sense too.
I just want to say, can we bring back fat Amanda Waller?
Absolutely.
Can we bring her
We
fat
should.
Amanda Waller? She was so fat in every conception. It was like, hey man, she eats her fucking feelings. She's got a lot of NSA shit rattling around in her head, and the Twinkies are right there. It's like she jams on them to like, I can relate so much. And it's like, come on, man, make her fat. Anyway, I'm sorry, we cut you off.
No, it's okay.
But yeah,
What were your other two?
the other two things that
Yes.
are wrong with Suicide Squad.
So first is the villain and just the execution from all of that. Secondly, I felt, yes, I understand the ensemble. They didn't introduce them right. You know what I mean? Like the whole point of them all working together, why do any of them give a shit about anybody else?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I had a problem with that. Thirdly, I felt like there was this storyline that really wanted to be a movie, which was the Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Had they just picked one of those things and really focused on it, I think it could have been a much better movie.
Yeah. Agreed.
Because I was sitting in the movie theater and we went to go see it at the iPic. So we were in these huge seats and like leaning back, and it was the only way that I knew if I dragged my boyfriend to go see it in a nice theater, he may not hate the movie as much because the experience was good.
Right.
But we're watching it, and I'm just like enamored because I'm like, wow, look, you get to see the Joker and Harley Quinn in a scene together, and they're dancing, and she's in the full one-piece suit. And, there was just so many nice little 1-second scenes that really played to my heartstrings.
Right.
But that doesn't make a movie.
Yeah, well, that's just, they did the same thing with Batman versus Superman, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember Steampunk Batman?
I love steampunk Batman.
Badass. Except in the comics, the steampunk didn't they do a What If Steampunk Batman? If I remember correctly,
Elseworlds.
an Elseworlds one, not What If, Elseworlds. What If is Marvel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like. Yeah, they did Gotham by Gaslight, which he looked kind of like the one where he was fighting all the dark
Yeah,
demon
and they
guys.
took that from the comic book, and they take pictures.
Parademons.
Yeah, the parademons.
Oh, dude, parademons.
Parademons were in a movie. And
Make that a movie.
But see, that's the thing. That's the thing for real nerds of this stuff. You're sitting in a movie and you're seeing fucking Jack Kirby's parademons and you're underwhelmed because this dude is fucking it up so much.
I know.
That is weird.
It's people who've literally flipped through comic books
that
and been
looks
like,
cool.
oh, I like the way that looks.
Cool.
I'm going to put that as a picture in my movie.
And the funny part about it, though, is, and not to do this, this is the one part of Marvel versus DC that's going to be in this damn podcast, I promise. But Marvel seems to look through all the pretty pictures and be almost as reductive in what they capture. I mean, think about it. Even like in Fox, I know it was a Fox thing rather than a Marvel thing, but there's a character, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who's like a super telepath and all this like really amorphous shit. They were just like, nah. She should be a warhead in this movie. And they just made her a warhead. Even Marvel and other studios, they do things where they just look at the picture and just go with it. That's fine. They change stuff that people think doesn't need to be changed because we're all nerds reading our comic books.
Yeah.
But there comes a time when you have to have a motivation for why you made a certain change. I never liked Rocket Rack fucking Coon. Why did I like Raccoon? This stupid raccoon and this Star-Lord. Get out of here. This is garbage. Those movies are great. Those movies distilled everything from all those comics that I would never read into something palatable for everybody. You know, your mom cries when Rocket Raccoon is hurt in the movie. And that's Marvel's power over DC right now. Yeah. It isn't just that that they don't make things like how ugly Cyborg looks in the new JLA movie. He looks like fucking it looks like PS3.
He
looks like PS3.
It looks like something I'd design. on my
don't
on my
slight
paint.
yourself. Don't slight yourself, buddy. You on MS Paint could do better than Cyborg in these movies. So it's not just that the fact that they're vastly superior in that stuff. It's just the heart behind it. So like I wanted to talk about like what life lessons do you think that you got from Batman?
What life lessons?
Yeah, because we hinted at it a little bit earlier. Because you said something about how keep your enemies close. And I was like, boy, your boyfriend. Listening to this, you know, what's your kryptonite for your boyfriend that you have?
I think
I'm not asking
it's twofold for me. So I think it's, you know, embodying that strength within myself and just being, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, if you really want to think about it, this world it's all bullshit. Everybody's just doing whatever that they do. There's no manual on how to do shit. So, you know, you just have to use your instincts, and that's very much what Batman's about. But then I also took this as I was growing up of being like, wow, I really don't want to be fucked up like this guy. like I seriously, I need to work through my shit. Because when you think about it from a psychological standpoint, he's a fucked up individual. He can't let go of this thing that happened to him when he was a kid.
Right.
That is the thing that drives him.
Right.
And reading a story like The Reaper, and it's taken away from him, then you wonder like, oh shit.
Right.
Like, how does somebody who uses that as fuel, and that's no longer a thing you can go toward?
Right.
Do you just, like, now, do you just become completely lost? Or, so I think growing up, you know, we all go through things.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, you know, you could take it one way or the other. You can either become the vagrant or you can become the vigilante.
Right.
And I always thought from the psychological standpoint, for me, I don't want to be that person that's constantly holding on to the past. And that's what I see from Batman. I know it's a really weird direction.
No, this is what this is for.
This is what this podcast is about. Literally, is talking about how these characters affect your life and affect who you are as a person. Because, I mean, we've talked about it. The last one is like everything that you read, and especially when it comes to comic books. And I don't know if everybody else is like this, but a huge portion of why I started reading what I read is not only comic books or fantasy, but also fantasy books, is because my parents sucked, and I almost needed role models in a way. And a lot of the people that you read about were people who stood up for what they believe in, no matter what it was. And sometimes they were battling demons at the same time, and you didn't have to feel as bad about yourself battling demons. So
I mean, I look at all of my favorite characters. They're all street level dudes, and they're all really flawed. Like our producer Frank. He likes the Punisher, And I famously said in the pitch meeting for this show, I was like, hey, if you're a 40-year-old man and you like the Punisher still, you're fucked up. Frank, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
It's like the worst
He's
thing
here
to
shaking
say.
his head, by the way.
The fact that I'm even on this show is a miracle. But yeah, it does inform like what you think. In how you think. So I liked the Punisher when I was younger because I wanted to punish the people who had wronged me.
Yeah.
I liked Batman. I liked Daredevil after I got a little bit more, I felt mature. I liked Daredevil because he was like, dude, he could just go use all those senses he has to do a number of things to get as rich as Batman. But he's like this Hell's Kitchen slumdog lawyer, helping old ladies. It's like, oh, they're trying to kick you out of the country. Your son broke his arm in a slip and fall. He's like trying to help the community. And then at night, he's getting the shit kicked out of him by mystical ninjas.
Yeah.
I felt like, and he's blind through all of this that I just said. So I felt like that was my guy. And then I really started getting into the Bat God because I felt like he was a graduation of that concept of like, a global dude. Like Daredevil almost does the world a disservice by not getting some fucking resources and going and doing some stuff. Whereas Batman is liable to kick your ass in China, Australia, Gotham, wherever you're at because he's got these worldwide resources. So, I mean, I kind of like Batman now as I try to build my own empire and see if I can take my own Bat God trips and learn stuff.
What do you think the shittiest thing the character ever did was? Batman ever do?
Yeah, something indefensible a writer made him do.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way.
Okay.
Obviously.
You made my baby do this!
Well, I used to go into comic book stores and find the weirdest one issues or weird books. And I took a picture of it so I could show you guys, but I have this in my house. It's called Batman Digital Justice, and he's inside of a computer.
That was one of the first computerized graphic novels ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so ridiculous. And it's not that I care what they did with the character. I just think that the story is ridiculous.
What's the story on that one? I mean, basically, he's in a computer.
Yeah. It's like what they used to show you, like, oh, this is how cyber talk is, where, you're sitting in this black room and it's like weird shit flying behind you.
Yeah. Well, Max Headroom and like the very first VR.
I am Batman.
Dude, one story about VR. I remember when VR came and our school was doing VR and they put these VR harnesses on everybody. And I was so fucking fat, I couldn't fit in the VR harness. It was so tight. I was not able to get into the world of virtual reality because my boobs are being constrained by this harness. It sucked. Anyway, I'm sorry.
And yet you are still fat. I'm a nightmare person. I can't believe I said that.
Wow.
Hey.
Fat shaming.
Yeah. I'm going to get Batman on you. So basically, it is interesting, though, what people take out of Batman. Like what...
I just had this picture of Batman.
Fat man?
No, just Batman coming and being like, you shouldn't be mean to him because he's fat, but... Seriously, bro, you should probably eat better. You're probably gonna die.
Okay, let's
take care of yourself.
Let's do this. Let's do this whole improv. Look, motherfucker, I don't live in a mansion. You know what? A fucking double cheeseburger costs $1.
I'll tell you what. I'll teach you how to farm.
Exactly.
I am Batman. I know how to farm.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
Grow your own vegetables.
I'm a Batman.
He would
I know
pull
how to
some
farm.
weird shit out like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He would just show up and you know how to farm? I have gadgets for that. It was just like some crazy gadget that like allows your kale to, super strength kale that comes up in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Here.
Well, I think he also
He uses
cheats.
IVs. Like,
Yeah. Well, what do you think about Batman being sort of? This is one thing I've always thought of. I think there's part of people who like Batman who like. I like cheating. I'm not necessarily in relationships or anything like that, but like I like the fact that he's not supposed to be in this game. If you just take it really, if you take it on its face, he's not supposed to be able to be with these gods and stuff. But he cheats so much,
especially in DC.
Especially in
because the
DC.
power levels in DC compared to how strong Batman is insanity.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know what I think DC did around in the 60s? I think they just took like a bunch of those 87-sided die from like Dungeons & Dragons and put powers on them and threw them down. And like they just tabulated up everybody's powers from some big list like that. Because like Martian Manhunter is stretchy and weird with his body, can turn intangible, can turn invisible, has telepathy, has some sort of heat vision, even though he's scared of fire. And he's as strong and as fast as Superman, basically.
A little less.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Durant of.
Well, then how would you not cheat?
Well,
that's the thing.
That's the thing.
Gotta do.
But that's I think though that's one way of talk about deep psychology of these pop culture characters. That's one way that we connect with them though. It's like I think he feels like I feel like a lot of us feel like, man, I gotta get an advantage. I gotta get an edge. Everybody's so much bigger than me. Everybody's so much better than me. I gotta get some kind of edge, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. You're right. That's what causes people to really create that connection, because who doesn't cheat?
Right.
Let's be honest. Like,
right.
Who doesn't cheat?
Who doesn't try to find some corner to get a place faster?
Which is why I love, one of my favorite Batman stories is the Venom story, which they rehashed and made fucking Bane, and I'm not going to get into all that. But there's a story for Frank's benefit and for our audience who doesn't read comic books all damn day. Batman, it's a dope-ass story. Batman basically... he had a case where he found out where the dudes had stashed some lady that they had kidnapped, some child they had kidnapped. She was in a sewer pipe, and there was a big rock in front of the sewer pipe. He did all the detective work. He did everything he needed to do, and he got down there in time, and he tries to lift the rock, and he can't. And because he can't lift a 685, I think it was, pound rock, this chick died. And he said, fuck that, and went and scoured the earth, and he found this dude with this experimental stuff. He started taking this venom stuff that made him be super strong, and it fucked him up. He was really violent. He threw refrigerators at people. There's a scene where he threw a refrigerator at some thugs. Bottom line, he wanted to cheat. And in the end of the story, he basically has to get himself out of a situation where they trap him in a place where it's like, take those pills, and you'll dig your way out of here in no time. Don't. And you're going to die. And he chose to escape without taking the pills. And I think that's a big part of Batman. Like, he's a cheater, but like he does recognize human ability as
well, yeah, and he's also, you know, you're able to play with that character doing these things and showing the repercussions.
Right.
Like to the complete extreme.
Yeah,
obviously.
Because he's a human instead of like a robot.
So you actually get to see how this could go really wrong if you decide you want to do steroids all day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I hear when I hear that story.
Also, you're not going to be Batman. Also, going to have a small dick. Enjoy.
But, you know, at the end of the day, Batman gets to go and do these things. And then the next time you pick up another comic book, it's reset. You know, like there's no long-lasting repercussions for this character.
Okay, well, this is a perfect place to ask this. What do you want them to do with Batman? Like, what's a story you've always wanted to be told about Batman?
Hush.
You just want Hush again? That's your favorite?
I want Hush, but I want, like, good Hush. I want, do you know what I mean? Like, I want that that ability for you to see, for real, the struggle between him and Superman. Where, you know, and not just in the sense that he wants to have something on Superman, but to show everybody else that he has something on Superman.
Huh.
Because there's a thing in that story where Poison Ivy takes over Superman.
Yeah, it makes him basically like a weird drone for her. Yeah. And
Batman knows the only way he's going to snap him out of it is by throwing Lois off of a building.
Yeah.
And it snaps him out of it right away. He goes and saves her, and it's in front of everybody. Everybody knows it was Batman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
everybody knows it was Batman.
Right.
He may not be the strongest man in the world, but he is smart.
Well, yeah, and let's talk about that. The first person to kind of put that over was Frank Miller in Dark Knight, in The Dark Knight Returns. He beats up Superman basically because Superman's talking a bunch of bullshit. And he just prepares and gets a bunch of homies to help him, cheating a lot. And then he beats Superman's ass right on the spot where his parents died, which is the best thing I've ever. It's the best thing ever. Still. So basically, in the Zack Snyder movie. Batman's people are hunters, and he has this weird xenophobic attitude towards Superman, and he wants to go kill him and hurt him and all that jazz. I just really want to I'm talking about this because I want people to understand that Batman beating Superman, as the biggest Batman fan in the world, Batman beating Superman is always, and The Rock means always, contingent upon Superman being a punk on some level.
Yeah, going evil.
Yeah.
Going evil or doing the wrong thing out of his Boy Scout.
Well, right. But I'm just saying, the fact that he has a chance, I love Batman. I love Batman. But the fact that he has a chance is Superman's not a bad guy. If Superman was a bad guy who thought bad thoughts, or was smart at all, why doesn't Superman just roll up to anybody and punch them 1 million times in 1 second?
No.
He literally never does that.
No.
Why doesn't he cauterize your eyes closed and beat your fucking ass? You know what I mean? You can't see him, and he's punching you 1 million times,
But he
and
does
your
that.
eyes are closed from his heat vision.
And he does that from space.
Right. That's what I'm
He
saying.
goes out
See,
outside of...
but see, look at all these scenarios. He instead chooses to come down into the Batcave, start talking some shit, give Batman a bunch of time to reach behind him to grab a rock, or open up and say, keep talking, Superman, I'm going to open up my crypto safe real quick. You know what I mean? It's always that. And I just really want people to understand that, like, Batman is great. But I think Superman would beat him up if Superman was a dickhead, if Superman was a real bad person. And I think that's a beautiful thing, that their relationship is like that. They can't really beat each other up or harm each other or kill each other because they're good buddies, because they're yin and yang of the DC universe. Yeah, so, and I think lastly, we should ask you, how do you think, given what we were just talking about, how do you think Batman would fare in a superhero battle royale?
Well, I think that... For one, he would have a huge advantage because, like you said, he is master of cheating. He's also a fucking master detective. So, if you're talking about comic book Batman has a lot of resources in his back pocket for sure. And I think if it's a battle royale, he's probably going to be somewhat stepping back for a bit and watching, seeing what everybody's doing. So he's collecting data. To figure out, all right, your weakness is this, your weakness is that, because he knows that he's not as strong or stronger than probably most of the people that he would be fighting. But that's the beauty of Batman, is that he is able to put certain things together in his head that I think quicker than a lot of people would.
Right.
So he's going to,
How about versus Captain America?
Versus Captain America?
Batman versus Captain America.
Ooh, I definitely think Batman would win because he would fight dirty.
Right.
See, that's a good point.
That is a good point. And what I always like to do, though, is in these comic book things, I know it's the nerdiest thing ever, but let's do it. We're here. I always found that, like, you'll find a bunch of dudes in the barbershop or whatever, or wherever white people congregate to talk about stuff. But, like, in the barbershop, let's say,
I don't even know where that is.
I know, right? Like, literally, it used to be.
I don't go to the barbershop, that's for sure.
It used to be the barbershop.
Definitely not to talk to anybody.
I don't know.
A barbershop is still a community place in the black community.
The coffee
You guys
shop?
are just trying to get your hair cut.
The diner. We go to the diner.
Yeah, the diner.
I go to
Fine.
the bar.
Well, there you go.
All right.
So anyway, we used to talk. I would hear a lot of brothers talk about, like, hey man, motherfucking Bruce Lee would beat the shit out of Mike Tyson. Man, fuck that. Mike Tyson beat up Bruce Lee. And I'm like, in a street fight, I think Bruce Lee would ruin that dude because he would be karate chopping him in the neck, kicking him in the neck, kicking him in the face, gouging his eyes out, kicking him in the knees. Shit like that you can't prepare for. In a boxing ring where he cannot kick you and he's a 135-pound Asian man and you're fucking Mike Tyson, he might ruin Bruce Lee in that particular parlance because he can't use his feet and he could rush him up in the corners and just brawl rog him. So what I'm saying is with Batman versus Captain America in an elevator, Captain America all motherfucking day. On a rooftop or on a cityscape or some shit like that, Batman all day. Because there's all these nooks and crannies. He can drop on your ass like Chucky. He's a crazy dude.
Well, it depends on the rules of one, what the fight is.
Yeah.
Right.
And the situation in which they're in.
Cap can be knocked out by gas.
Excellent point.
I mean,
Well, yeah, and he's got that utility belt, Batman, so,
Yeah.
prepared for everything.
Yeah. I want to see Batman.
You think he's got a utility belt in the bedroom?
I think so. Got these Batarang cock rings. I think that's as good a note to end on as it. Well, this has been Nerd Goat. We're gonna hit you with these young plugs. Go ahead.
First, we want to hear what's your. Before we do that, why is Batman number one?
Yeah.
Why is the Nerd Goat? And then we'll do plugs.
I mean, I feel like we've touched on it with everything that we've said today. It's the one character that I feel has held constant throughout his entire history. Mm-hmm. You know, there hasn't been much change to just the ethos of what Batman is.
Right.
More so than any other character.
More so than even Superman. That is actually true. That's way true.
And and you know, one of the most recognizable symbols in the world.
Sure. So she's got a purple glittery version of it on right now. It's pretty awesome.
Right. She's got a purple glittery girly Batman shirt. The fact that can even be is how sick Batman is. It's a brand and it's a lifestyle, baby.
Well, yeah, it goes past just the character.
Yes. Well, do you have anything you want to plug in during this time?
Sure. We just relaunched our podcast for the Hentai HQ. You can find all the information at thehentai.hq.com. Best place to find all of our socials on there because some of them are a little bit different. We couldn't get every name to be exactly the same. You can also follow me personally on any social media at Nerdy Latex. And follow me on my reviews on Entertainment Earth's news blog.
Toys.
More toys.
Yeah, toy reviews. She does toy reviews.
I do toy reviews, and I actually just started a series of articles for them that talks about the importance of cataloging your collection. Oh. That every collector should have a database of everything that they have, however detailed, because you just never know what might happen. And it's just nice to be able to have a good list of what you actually own.
Yeah. Cool. And as far as personal plugs, I am Ed Greer. You can see all my social media as Ed Greer Destroys. And people ask me why I call it that. It's just like, I don't know, man. I'd really like to take stuff apart. So, like, you can look at my art on Ed Greer Destroys, on Deviant Art and Instagram, and hit us up on Facebook. And what's our information for the Nerd Goat? How they can interact with us on Facebook?
Well, eventually we're going to have a Nerd Goat page, and on Twitter as well. We will probably just say smart ass shit about comic books on Nerd Goat.
Sorry, both will exist as of this episode being up. So
excellent.
You can speak in real time.
They will be up and ready for action. We also have an email. You can actually email us at nerdgoatpodcast@gmail.com. Argue with us on Twitter. We would love to interact with you guys. And you can tell us what you think about Batman or Emma Frost from the last episode or any of your nerd goats. Maybe we'll try to bring in somebody if you give us a good suggestion.
Well, yeah. If there's enough of you that suggest a person and or topic, we'll see what we can do. Yeah.
And I'm Ron Swallow. You can find me on all the internets by putting Ron Swallow into it. Facebook, Instagram, whatever, Twitter. It's Dorky Swallow is technically what it is for Instagram. And
I love it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, well, you know, when your last name is Swallow, you should use it to your advantage. And yeah, either way. Thank you for listening to Nerd Goat. And subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, all the good stuff and that you can listen to podcasts on.
Please rate us. Rate the effectiveness of Ron's fat person burn that he did on me earlier.
Or still give us 5 stars, but say Ron's a dick for shaming fat people. That's fine. Either way, just give us 5 stars.
Hey, all I'm saying is demographically, making fun of fatties ain't cool on a nerd podcast.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I look like I'm 3 months pregnant all the time, so I can't really talk any shit.
Hey, you're slim fat.
Slim fat.
Well, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I feel like that needs to be a drink and also sponsor of this podcast.
Thank you guys very much. This has been another illustrious episode of Nerd Goat.
Well, that was a classic Nerd Goat episode. If you had a good time, please rate, review, subscribe, push the like button, do all the stuffs that you do to support the things you like. Thanks. We'll see you next time.